Greetings, citizens. This is Richard F. Yates. I am sitting in the car once again because that's the best place to record content is sitting in a car. Don't you think? So, what are we at? Wednesday. So, early release. I'm picking my granddaughter up an hour earlier than I did yesterday. Showed the video I recorded yesterday to my wife, and she laughed a little tiny bit. And I thought, hey, she laughed a little bit. Maybe somebody else laughed a little bit too. But if not, at least she laughed a little bit. So that's cool. Yep. So after this, I'll probably take Felicity back to the house and see if I can get her to do some more coloring. She was coloring this morning. Frankie, that's her mom, and my older daughter got some new swirl crayons and colored pencils. I'm not sure if she got them for me or if she got them for Felicity, who is 5. But it's kind of funny that a 5-year-old and a 52-year-old both like the same thing: crayons. I mean, crayons they're just a physical medium. You can pick them up. You can use them on cardboard or leftover papers, or the receipt from my most recent prescriptions. Whatever. You can just, whatever's there, that's what you use them with. And I kind of like the cheapy Crayola brand felt pens too, because buy these expensive Copic and these other really fancy pens and markers, and they've got such a distinct distribution that sometimes they're kind of a pain in the ass. And then plus, a lot of the stuff that I draw, I take photographs of with my phone, and then I kind of tweak the colors or add colors digitally in my old cheap sketch program. So you have that physical color plus the noise and distortion added from manipulating it digitally. And honestly, the cheap ass crayons and cheap felt pens and stuff, they're such a weird, inconsistent texture on them that it really makes the finished product look freaky, which is, you may not know this, but that's kind of what I'm going for most of the time, is freakity deakity. I know the shadows are going crazy today because I'm sitting directly in the sun, which I don't usually do, because normally if I sit in the sun, I explode and burn. But it's cold as Smurf today, so maybe that's enough to counterbalance it. So I'm just going to smolder for a little while. So we'll see if we can get Felicity to color when we get home. She probably will just want to watch TV, but whatever. We do what we can do. And I've started working on a NeoCities post for today, which includes the video I recorded yesterday sitting in the car. Plus some recent artsy stuff, because that's the way my brain works. I just make a whole bunch of little stuff and then I tape them all together. So my whole life is a collage. Yeah, someday I'm gonna be an old man in the woods scaring them teenagers that come up there to drink moonshine. My family's from Virginia, my dad's side anyway, and they lived in a house. My dad said from the hill where they lived, you could see the lights of Washington, D.C., but they didn't even have electricity in it or dentistry or anything like that. So my dad learned to make moonshine and, had 11 brothers and sisters, but only like 5 of them made it. Is that right? Let's see. Ron, Ray, Roy, Kay, and Joyce. So 5 made it here from Virginia. And then most of them, at least the male folk, have all dropped dead from various things. Uncle Ray, my dad's younger brother, Uncle Ray, supposedly died from complications from like a heart issues, which I think came from having rheumatic fever. having strep throat that went down into his heart because they didn't know anything about antibiotics, I guess, because when you live in the woods, there's no doctors or dentists or anything. So Dad told me he wanted to be a dentist when he moved here back in the early 50s, because he'd never heard of it, and having bad teeth hurt, so he wanted to help people not hurt. And then he ended up being a hippie. And then he ended up being a post-hippie, where he went to like Saudi Arabia and helped build airports in the desert and made some money. You wouldn't know it from looking at his clothes, though. He wore like ripped up jean shorts and t-shirts from Lake Tahoe McDonald's that he got for $1 at the Goodwill. Frugal, you could say. Cheap, you could say. But he was pretty funny. I enjoyed that guy. That guy, and Mom was really funny too, but she was very, very young when she conked out, which because of a car wreck. But she was a hoot too. She was come home from playing pool at the bar at 2:30 in the morning and go, "Come on, kids, get in the car. We're going to the beach." And we'd stagger in our pajamas to the car and fall asleep in the back seat and wake up the next morning at the beach. And Mom was like that. She's like, "We're doing it. Woo!" And then she would do it. But so I try to be a little bit like them without quite so much of the self-destructiveness, which, the moonshine. I talked about Dad making moonshine when he was young. Apparently it's not kosher. It's not okay to have alcohol in Saudi Arabia, but he didn't want to live without it, so he made a bathtub still and was making bathtub gin, which can get you in a lot of trouble over there. And one of his buddies, who I think he said the British guy, he was a British guy that hung out with him, got so drunk he crashed his car and they deported him. They're like, "You can't be here if you're going to be drinking." Dad had to dismantle the brewing mechanism and clean up everything before they found out it was him that made the booze. So that he didn't get deported too and lose his job. But there you go. That's the way the turkey rumbles, I guess. Whatever. So, yeah, I'm just sitting here telling stories, watching cars drive by. Can you hear them? Maybe I'll switch it around for a minute and let you see. Maybe I won't. Do I know how? I'll have to ask the kids one of these days. How do you switch the... Whoa! Maybe you can't. Well, I thought I've done it before, but maybe I didn't.